So it's been about a year since I got this little laptop that fits very nicely inside the small backpack. And yeah, I think it's time for a 1-year review. Like so. So let's get right into it. I think it was September probably last year. So it's exactly 1 year. But first, a little TLDR. I've had it for about a year. It was already about 5 or 6 years old when I got it, and I paid about $200 for it at the time at Dospara. It works great, fast enough for most of my needs. Doesn't have any problems, performance or reliability wise. Now a little more detail. This particular model is SV7 RDAVS, short SV7, so it was released in 2018. I'm guessing it's about 7 years old now, including 1 year in my pretty heavy everyday use, and possibly about 5 years in relatively moderate corporate use in a Japanese company of some kind. A little bit of a backstory to my relationship with Panasonics. The very first laptop I got back in the 2000s, I tried to stick with slightly heavier, better built machines that tend to be better made, last longer, and where most components can be replaced, often by the user himself. Most of them, they were ThinkPads of some kind, usually the T series or X series. Over time, I gradually switched from the ThinkPads to Panasonic ToughBooks, and I really liked how they were built. Everything just seemed so solid. There was no cheap plastics, no squeaking, bending, none of that BS. Back in Canada, in British Columbia, I used to have a Panasonic ToughBook, industrial convertible tablet computer, the one with a rotating display and a funky hand clip. You might have seen them around hospitals. And I used it for some site trips, meal sites, and later sold it to a local electrician as his field laptop, and he was very happy to snatch it from me at a bargain price. I think I got it for about $1,000 back then, and sold it for about $600 or $800. The machine was super solid and ruggedized. One of its main advantages was that it had an old school serial COM port, so it could be plugged directly into some electrical panels and some legacy PLC computers for various machinery. Then later, when I relocated to Singapore, I went shopping for a sturdier laptop. I went on the Carousel app and got me an older Panasonic, let's note, CF something series. I forget the actual series code. It was the one with the CD drive that would open up. It served me well for a couple of years, and I sold it to the next owner. It might still be around, still working. It must be about 10 or 12 years old now. So over the years, I found that in terms of the mechanical build quality, there was virtually no difference between the industrial ToughBooks and the Let's Note series. The same magnesium alloy chassis, the same sturdy keyboards, pretty bright LCDs for working outdoors, and I believe that for some of the business uses, non-military, kind of non-hardcore industrial ToughBooks, there are essentially rebranded Let's Note series. They maybe lagged a bit in terms of performance, but I don't really do any heavy computing, so they always worked just okay for me. So last year, my then Fujitsu Lifebook finally gave up after 6 years of heavy use, and I scouted Sapporo for my third Panasonic. Check that video on my channel. I think it's called The Quest for the JDM Laptop. I will link it in the end. Now on to this particular machine. As said, this is CF-SV7 2018 model. System specs are Intel Core 5 at 1.7, 1.9 gigahertz, and it comes with 8 GB memory. So here's the more detailed specs. As for the operating system, when I got it, it had a Windows 10 on it in an installation package. So it had to be activated, and it turned out to be the Japanese version. And after a bit of Googling, I managed to change the shell interface to English. but sometimes the lower level messaging appears in Japanese. Those are some BIOS, etc. hardware related messages, I think. However, after 6 months or so, the system upgraded itself to Windows 11 Pro. I'm not sure if it's Japanese or the international version. It seems to be working without any issues. Occasionally, some lower level message will pop up in Japanese as well. Regarding the performance, I use it every day. I haven't had a single problem, knocking on the wood, with regards to reliability, and very few issues, if any at all, with performance. Generally, I have about 50 or 80 tabs open at any moment, and with very little lag. The more demanding application for me is Shortcut, which works just fine on 8 gigabyte memory. I looked it up before switching from Clipchamp, compared a bunch of applications, and Shortcut seemed to be the one that could work reliably on an older laptop. I also looked into DaVinci Resolve, but it required a minimum of 16 gigabyte memory. The file extraction speed is probably my only minor gripe about performance. A 15 to 20 minute edited video takes about 40-50 minutes to extract from Shortcut into an MPEG-4 file. So exporting this little 2-minute YouTube short took about 3 minutes 45 seconds. Meanwhile, all the tabs are still working. With a 16 gigabyte RAM, it would have been a lot faster, probably take half the time. But overall, it works great for text editing, spreadsheets, slide presentations, anything cloud or hard drive based, doesn't matter. It helps that the drive is SSD, but I'm looking probably into replacing it or adding an additional like actual physical disk drive. Ergonomics wise, I have already mentioned how light and grippy it is. If I have mentioned that, I think, yeah, I keep praising in the older videos. It just got the right thickness and profile. This battery sticking out is very comfortable to hold on to. And the magnesium alloy is just very nice to handle. The keyboard is fantastic for typing normal text, for especially kind of longer text to enter. It's not so great for coding and spreadsheets due to the weird Japanese layout. My Japanese friends actually don't like it as much because they have to use English layout and they get really confused. But I'm more into normal text, so I love it. I do some spreadsheets sometimes, but I don't have a big issue. The keyboard itself is super responsive. It has very good key travel. It has very audible, nice tactile clicks. So none of the mushy kind of feel of the modern keyboards of this day. The battery is great. It lasts at least 5 hours. I'm not even sure if it's the original old battery. I think the shop attendant told me it was a newer or reconditioned one. And it's good to know that I can replace the battery myself without using a repair shop. They are somewhat available on the Rakuten. I just need to figure out how to do the shipping. I have the proprietary Panasonic 16-volt charger, but for daily use I mainly charge it through the Type-C USB port, and it works okay most of the time. Sometimes, rarely, it will say that the voltage is insufficient and it has to switch to slow charging, but so far I have never run out of juice in the battery. Display-wise, it may not be the absolute best for 2025, but it's great for more purposes. The previous laptop was a Fujitsu Lifebook with a fantastic Ultra HD display, and I don't see any difference. None that is perceptible to me, at least. Connectivity. Physical ports are one of the main advantages of the Panasonic laptops. Even this one has a whole array of them. 4 USB ports, 3 regular, 1 Type-C. I think I would appreciate another Type-C. And this is very handy for hooking up multiple SSD drives. And I use all of the USB ports. 3+1 is great. There's also an Ethernet port, useful even today in some hotel and office settings. And there are 3 ways to connect an external monitor: USB, HDMI, and the VGA port. I don't use it very often, but sometimes the HDMI comes in handy. Also, of course, the SD card slot, a must-have for any video editing work, or if you take a lot of pictures. What else? There's also the physical switch for the Wi-Fi. So if you get spooked, you can switch off your Wi-Fi pretty quickly, physically. There's an internal DVD drive. I have used it a total of 1 time in the whole year. So I might actually take it out and replace it with something more useful to me. Maybe a hard drive, as I said, or an extra battery. There may be some vaguely useful replacement ports, attachments on Rakuten, but I haven't really looked into that. On the other hand, you never know. There could be some DVD that I absolutely have to check, and then I have the drive.
It's super light, by the way, and very handy, being 13-inch size and magnesium alloy body. It's super light. I think it's just 1 kg of weight, which kind of, and because it's so like grippy, I sometimes just carry it around like so, without any bag or even a sleeve, which is not a good thing. I don't do that. And I dropped it once and it hit some kind of rocks on the pavement, and that was the impact. Yeah, it did survive though. So there's a little bit of kind of minor degree of ruggedness, I would say. But don't overuse it, don't abuse that.
Overall, backward compatibility doesn't cost a whole lot, but it's a good thing to have, I think. Now, if you like this idea and you're thinking to get one, check out my older video on that, the quest for a JDM laptop. In Japan, they are available at second-hand computer shops like Dospara, Janpara, Shopuin Basu. When I was in Sapporo, Shopping Basu had loads and loads of them. But this one is from Dospara. And yes, it is available on Rakuten, depending on the condition, the age. It will cost anywhere from 13,000-15,000 yen to almost 54,000, but generally around 20 to 30,000 yen. So it's roughly in the same ballpark, 200 to 300 US dollars. You can also find replacement batteries and other compartments for the laptop. I looked it up as well. Batteries are actually not cheap, so you have to hold on to your original battery for as long as possible. The new batteries are almost 2,000 yen, and the reconditioned ones are probably around 10 to 12,000. And Rakuten also does ship internationally, depending on the seller. Not all of them will ship directly, but there are some workarounds. Basically, they do support this depending on your location, not to all of the countries. In conclusion, these old school Japanese laptops are great value for money. They're built to last, and at least for me, I plan to use it for at least another year. Even if something breaks, I know how to replace it, and it will make the total cost of ownership less than $100 a year. And if I use it for a couple more years, it will bring the total cost of ownership to like $50 a year. Not bad for the main workhorse that makes money, can take a lot of beating, and doesn't weigh much, and can be with you everywhere. And it could potentially last even longer than that, so I'll take that anytime.
Anyway, these were my general observations on using this Panasonic CF-SV7 2018 for about a year. Hope you found it useful, and look it up somewhere where you can buy it if you're into this kind of thing. Oh, let's stop here. Let's get a copy.